Hey guys, it's Frank. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you guys 5 things that I miss most about living in Calgary. Now, for those of you who are unaware, 8 months ago, I once upon a time lived in Calgary, and guess what? Next week, I'm actually going to be visiting Calgary, and I'm going to be taking a quick break over there. Now, there's a few reasons why I'm making this video. One, it's been a while since the last time I made a Millennial Moves YouTube video, and secondly, you know, when I was living there, I always remember people always commenting down below being like,
"Oh, Frank, how do we even know you even live in Calgary? Because all you do is just make videos on your desk. How do we know if you even live there?"
So I decided that it's about time I bring you guys over there and show you guys all the cool things that exist out in Calgary. Before we dive into this video, it feels like I'm forgetting something. What did I usually say? All right, give this video a good old smash, and now let's begin this video. The number one thing that I miss most about living in Calgary would have to be hiking up in the mountains. And let me just clarify that obviously there's no actual mountains in Calgary. You're gonna have to take your car and drive up to Banff, Canmore. But the great thing about this all is that it's literally like about an hour, hour and a half to get to these destinations. Since moving back to Toronto, I don't have that flexibility on a weekend to say, hey, let's go hiking, because there's not that many hikes in Ontario. Like clearly I can, well, theoretically I could take my car out and drive to like Hamilton and see some lovely waterfalls and like Dundas Peak, but I'm telling you, the hikes that exist out in Ontario are not even close to the stuff that you get out living in the West Coast or in Alberta. And you know, the thing is, ever since becoming an adult, I like to now save my money. And I realized going hiking is probably one of the best activity that you can do with your friends that costs you basically $0. Like, I guess you gotta pay money for the gas to get there, but like the activity itself of climbing up the mountain, like no one's gonna, you know, be like, hey, you know, you wanna go up this mountain? Like that's gonna cost you $20. Like there's none of that, it's free, it's nature. Even going on the hikes out there, you see some of the coolest wildlife there. Like you will see like animals crossing the road while you're driving that you have to stop, and no one really like honks at them, because part of the experience is like, oh cool, like you don't see this every day. So a lot of times when you see animal crossing on the highway, like cars will just stop and like just take a moment to just take a picture and all that sort of thing, because that's how chilled and relaxed people are too, right? Like, whereas like in Toronto, people are like, let's go, we gotta get going, we gotta go downtown for my next business meeting. The second thing that I miss most about living in Calgary would have to be their tax rate, which is only 5% out in Alberta. I think it's fair to assume that every single person that's watching this will agree with me on this one, especially nowadays how inflation is like kicking everyone's butt. I think I read an article that Canada's inflation went up to 6.7%, which is its highest in like record over the last 30 years. Now, you would assume if you ever moved to Calgary, you would probably assume the gas prices out there would be relatively a lot cheaper out there, just given it's a oil and gas province, but it's not true at all, at least when I went there. So instead, when you move there, there are definitely other ways of saving money, and that is paying only 5% tax. Like, take for example, if you ever go to a restaurant and you are buying a burger, that's $20. Generally speaking, it's not going to go that much more when, you know, after you pay your bill, and yeah, definitely tip after, but your bill won't be crazy more than like, you know, you pay $20 and next thing you know, you're like $28. How did that happen? And that's because taxes there are only 5%. And just to give you some insight about how nice it is to pay only 5% tax, I'll tell you some other provinces and what their tax rate. To give some insight, Manitoba is at 12%, Ontario is 13%, and I learned today from my coworker is Quebec is 15%, which is, yeah, too much taxes out there. Number 3 would have to be how close everything is to one another. The real nice thing about having everything close to one another is that even during rush hour, it's not really too bad in comparison to like where I'm living right now. Like where I'm living right now in Ontario, in Toronto, like there's between 4:30 and like 6:30, it's a no drive zone. Okay, like I am not driving between those hours, because I know, you know, unless I want to fight through traffic, it's not really worth my time. But in Calgary, yeah, I still remember there are days where I like, you know, I try to avoid it, but it's not like the make or break. Like it's not going to be my like if someone wants to meet up with me at like 5:30, I'm not going to be like, No, because there's too much traffic. Funny because I still remember how like chilled it is to like forget something. Like say you're at your friend's house and you forgot your bag, your keys or something like that. It's pretty easy when you're driving home and then you're like, oh shoot, I forgot like you know, my cell phone, or like, you know, my Justin Bieber DVD or something like that, to just go back and you know, go back to your friend's place and pick it up. The difficult part about living in Ontario is that if I was ever visiting my friend and I forgot you know, my Pokemon cards at their house, like if I'm already on the subway or driving, I'm not turning back. I likely would just say, you know what, just another time. I'll come pick it up another day. Number 4 would have to be affordable housing out in Calgary. I recently did check online to see the new median price, and for the first quarter of 2022, the median price for a detached home in Calgary is now $605,000, which is crazy because I think I read that it's went 20% year over year. I guess what blows my mind is that 605 compared to like Toronto or Vancouver is still like basically half the price, but you get a detached home out in Calgary, which is, it's crazy. So personally for me, in the next years, I want to probably buy a place. And I kind of just told myself, if the housing market out in Ontario gets completely crazy to the point where, you know, I get outbidded by everyone, or I don't have $1 million bucks, you know, I'm gonna be forced to relocate. And in the back of my mind, that option would likely go back to Calgary, just because the familiarity of the city that I have and the affordable pricing. Last but not least, we have number 5, which is the number of parks / nature that exists out in Calgary. There are so many parks out in Calgary that I haven't even visited, but I remember going to this one called North Glenmore Park, which was like about a 10-minute drive from where I lived out there. And that park was so nice. Like it would take about like 30 to 45 minutes to walk from one side to the other, and there's like the river, you see people canoeing, and you see people running. One thing that I had to quickly adjust, because I moved back here, right? And then I was searching up parks to visit because I like the parks. It's quiet, it's chilled, right? And then I remember seeing parks that I searched on Google, and then I would go there, and I kid you not, guys, like it's like the smallest park I ever seen. Like it takes me like 2 minutes to like roam around the park. All in all, I just want to say that Calgary is a great Canadian city to live in, unless you want to find a job. Okay, I'm just kidding. Okay, but seriously, I always have people commenting or literally asking me like, hey Frank, what should I do? Should I move to Calgary? Like, do you think that city is worth it for me? And like to that, I literally cannot answer that for you. Like it depends person to person. Like for example, if you are a new graduate and you're looking for school option, then you know you're looking at whether you should do it in Alberta, BC, or in Ontario, or like Quebec. Yeah, probably in my opinion, I probably wouldn't go to Alberta because you know, it's just not my flavor. However, let's just say you're now in that stage of life where you're settling down, you recently started a family, you have 1 kid, and then you're like, hey, this 2-bedroom condo, it ain't gonna cut it. Where should I live? You know, you should go to Calgary at that point. So anyways, those are the 5 things that I miss most about living in Calgary, and I'm also super excited next week to go back and visit and show you guys what that city has to offer. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching and following my millennial journey. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you can be notified when I make my next video. And I guess I'll see you guys all in my next video. Peace.